Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play Cast, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. magicman, and this is episode 399. Next week, Friday the 20th, 1 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing the show live, twitch.tv/MMOBomb, just the same way we do every week. In fact, we're doing right now. Chat standing by to throw their comments in. But we're going to have many hosts. I'm kind of hoping there isn't a lot of big news next week because we're probably not going to get to it on the Free-to-Play Cast. Jason and Q and Wilfredo and Noobfridge and Zach still checking his schedule. And then anywhere from 1 to 4 surprise visits as well. So it'll be a lovely 45 minutes, hour. Come spend it with us. If you've been watching the Free-to-Play Cast for a long time, we'd love it if you could stop by. Twitch.tv/MMOBomb, 1 p.m. Eastern next Friday for episode 400. Jason, episode 400, my man.
God, I feel old. I think my first one was like 64.
My first one was 1.
Yeah, I know. But then you took a lot of them off. I think I've been on more than you at this point.
I don't know. That'd be interesting to calculate. I don't think so. I think it's close, though. I think it's close. Can
I take the next 400 off?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
In fact, I'll give you all free-to-play casts off very shortly.
That is quite the inside joke, people.
Also on the line to cover the news this week with the smirk. She does not find our humor funny. Ms. Quinlan Bowers. What's up, Q?
You know, I don't find it funny. Maybe that's just how that works.
Maybe that's just the way you laugh. It's just...
Pretty much.
Excellent. Today is the day, of course. Friday the 13th. I failed to put on my Camp Crystal Lake shirt because I realized it was Friday the 13th later than when I got out of the shower. So I feel bad, but...
At least you have a Jason on the show.
I do. I have
there
now.
You go.
Right now, I have 2 Jasons on the screen.
Well, yeah.
Right now, I have 2. Only one of them scary. Now, I'll leave it up to you to decide which one's which.
Are Jason plans to go out and murder kids at a lake?
I don't know.
We do have a lake nearby.
It's like the Halloween thing, right? It's everybody else. Watch out. People are giving edibles instead of... Ain't nobody giving up their edibles. Shut up. Shut up.
What's an edible? I mean, besides something that's edible. Like, you said candy. What's...
Very, very expensive candy.
An edible. When you mix
Are you being
pot
serious?
are you being serious?
Yeah.
Is this like a intermittent fasting moment? An edible, either like when you put cannabis oils in gummy bears, or put weed in brownies, or or cookies.
It's edible weed.
Yeah, it's okay, when you make your weed edible.
And nobody's giving that stuff to little kids.
Nobody's giving it.
Anything is edible. Just eat something.
Jason, back in the day when he did weed, he just ate the leaves. He just pulled them right off.
There are restaurants where people actually make salads out of it, and I'm just very confused.
Oh my god!
Right?
I just can only imagine, like, a quarter of the way through your salad, you forgot what you were eating. You're just like, why do I have this bowl of leaves? Anyway, I have no idea what's going on. We've lost control already. Let's start with the news. Now chat listing their favorite make it into an edible. Raging saying make it into tea. That's on Grandma's Boy. Go watch that movie. It's a great movie. Welcome to the Weed to Play cast. Episode 399. Anyway, on to free-to-play gaming news. We've got games coming up and games going down. And let's start with the good news first. Well, what will probably be good news for Blade and Soul fans. We are now on the cusp officially of the Unreal 4 engine upgrade and the new class, right? I mean, if you've been watching our coverage on MMOBomb.com, which you should, stop by the site. That's what pays the bills. Give us a like, a subscribe, all that stuff. on YouTube. But then come on over to the site. Check out the giveaways and the game pages. Leave your reviews for games for other players. Go get a look at it now because it's going to look different, maybe, like, in a little bit here. So lock in those nostalgic images of the current MMOBomb.com. Anyway, the dual blade class coming out soon, and the Unreal Engine 4 upgrade September 8th. So we've got a little less than a month to go. Now, I will admit, for me, guys, this is one of those things that I am hopeful does some certain things. But I'm also a little kind of concerned that it probably isn't going to do some of those things. Blade and Soul is not a game I've really had any problem with. I kind of liked its combat system. I've streamed it a couple of times on our free-to-play streams and done some like boosting and interviews and stuff like that. So I've never really had a problem with the game. I enjoyed the combat, but the optimization has just always been horrible for me. And I've always had either mid-tier to high-tier PC computing equipment, and I just never have had a great smooth run inside Blade and Soul, whether it be the loading times, whether it just, no matter what settings it was on, I'd always get different clipping or tearing all over the place. I'm hopeful, and I feel like the Unreal Engine 4 upgrade is going to fix a lot of the graphical stuff. That's kind of what it does, right? But just an engine switch, Jason, isn't necessarily the be-all, end-all fix to just shitty optimization issues either. So I still have a concern that that kind of stuff might stick around.
Yeah, of course, we'll never know by watching any of their videos.
Right, right.
They're running on perfect PCs that have everything set up. So that's the sort of thing you're just not going to know until the day one reviews come in and Reddit lights itself on fire talking about how shitty it is. So.
Yeah, I mean,
keep hoping, Mike. It's nice you still hope for MMORPGs.
It's not like I'm hoping for much. I just hope the optimization gets a little better. Now, that is actually a Wednesday, the 8th, so I will stream it after the free-to-play cast on the 10th, which I think will work out anyway, Q. That'll give me, 2 days beyond the launch, which I'm sure will go absolutely smoothly because these things always go smoothly. So yeah, we'll be streaming the Unreal 4 version of it on the 10th, 2 days after launch. Q, did you ever get into Blade and Soul?
I tried, and the funny
I seem
thing
to remember
was,
like you and I both got boosts for an interview or something like that.
Right, and I downloaded it and I installed it and I played it once, and then I went to play it again, and my computer was like, "Fuck this shit." It would just not even launch it.
I'm out.
I could never get it to launch again. I mean, granted, my computer is generally not the higher tiers. So,
right.
But it was just like, no, we're not doing this, and I just gave up after that because why fight it? But on the optimization thing, they did mention in their announcement of the date that part of what's coming is supposed to be optimizations for the game and the network. So maybe you'll get what you want.
Fingers crossed. Maybe. I don't know. But we don't have long to wait. We knew it was, going to be later half of 2021, and here we are, less than a month away. I'm kind of glad it's coming now. Like, I almost feel like they were like, look, we got to get out before Endwalker. We cannot we cannot have this sink into the back part of the year and deal with Endwalker because we can't even delay it to early next year because that's Guild Wars 2, damn it.
Except, what launches this month? New World.
Oh, yeah. You see, look at how fast I forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, this month for now.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It did get delayed. Oh, actually, isn't it September as well?
I thought it was August 31st, wasn't it? 30,
no, I think they pushed it. Oh my God! Wait a minute.
No, it was July, or maybe I am wrong. Well, whatever.
No, I think you're wrong, and it's September 28th now.
Oh, okay. Well,
I thought it was earlier in September. I knew it got bounced out of August.
I think the original was
September.
August. You're right.
Originally it was August. I knew they delayed it to September. I thought for a minute there was an 8 in my head, and I was like, oh my God, are they going to launch on the same day? No, it's actually the 28th for New World, not the 8th. So.
But there's something all the time now. There's not a good window ever.
Yeah.
I mean, what else came up like this last? Like I watch people on my on my Twitter. I was like, oh, I can't believe I'm playing this now, and this is out. Oh, I got to play this, and it's like there's something all the time. So don't even try.
Don't.
Wow. Try to like schedule it in a certain point.
That's so pessimistic. You know what? Just don't even try.
No, I'm not saying go ahead and launch the game, but don't try to like stick it in this window. Oh, there's nothing going on right now, because there will be something going on.
Don't even try anymore, developers. Don't even try.
Don't try this one aspect of your release.
Just put it out when it's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
On the flip side of games coming up, there are games going down, and in fact, 2 of them, although they're the same game. Astellia Online is shutting down. So this was very, very weird the way this whole thing rolled out. So we saw it on, I guess it was MMO Fallout. Connor over at MMO Fallout had kind of reported that there's some things missing from Steam, but there was no official announcement of the MMORPG closing, whether it be Astellia Online, which was the buy-to-play version, or the not-so-long-ago released Astellia Royal version, which was the free-to-play version that we had a lot of fun with doing the first look video and showing just how awesome a cash-based auction house can be. They are officially gone now. So their Steam pages
will be gone.
They will be gone, right? Their official Steam pages, yeah, there was no update. Then all of a sudden, we did get an update that Astellia Online was going to shut down on September 2nd. I'm sorry, October 29th, right? Yeah, October 29th. And then just yesterday, we got word that, hey, the Royal version, the free-to-play version, is now shutting down as well. That'll be on October 29th. And I gotta say, I played Astellia, the buy-to-play version. I played the free-to-play version. And as much as, obviously I'm sorry there are people behind games, don't ever forget that, and I don't want them to be unemployed. I hope they find work or on other projects or other companies. But as far as the game itself, the shutdown queue couldn't have happened to a better game. I mean, it just couldn't have happened to a better game. It was just run-of-the-mill, generic 2008, 2010 MMORPG fare, where they tried to throw in a little Estelle's thing where, you're collecting companions and stuff. But honestly, like, Riders of Icarus did it better, in my opinion. Although then they screwed it up with making you buy the inventory slots for those things once you had like 30 or whatever. And the whole point was collecting hundreds of them. But it just, there was the market for this, in my opinion, just wasn't there. It should have been free to play from the beginning. If that were the case, I think it would have done a lot better. I don't know if we'd still be avoiding a shutdown, but the whole let's do a buy-to-play, let's do a free-to-play, let's launch it in these regions. It didn't make sense. It fractured your own player base. You kind of did it to yourself at this point.
Well, and if you go with a free-to-play from the beginning, even if it's, you can kind of eke out a longer run if you're free-to-play from the start, because people kind of come and go from free-to-play games more than a game that they're paying for. So they'll pop in, and when you're in there, you're just like, I can afford, whatever for cosmetic item that looks really cool while I'm in here, right? So I think they would have gotten at least somewhat of a longer run out of it than they did. But, I mean, at least they had the sense, I guess, to just be like, well, it's not working, let's just drop it.
And I think they tried to do it, like, covertly, Jason, until, like, sites, started reporting on it. Then they're like, I guess we got to make an announcement. Is there a cash-based auction house, ? Says Mad Martha. Yes, go, if you're interested. It is an entertaining first look, if I do say so myself. Astellia Royal, the free-to-play version, I did a first look on it. Yes, the whole difference between the two games was the free-to-play version removed the level restrictions on gear. So if by chance you manage to grab a very high-end sword on your level 5 character from a friend or whatever, you were free to equip that badass sword on your level 5 character. And there were some other changes as far as the Estelle system goes too. The biggest change was the auction house, which ran solely on the cash shop currency. So you could go farm high-level weapons that now these level 5 and 6, characters can feasibly equip since there's no restriction. Throw them on the auction house for gems, which was the cash shop, or diamonds or whatever it was. And so players would have to buy cash shop currency, buy the item, and then you got your cut of the cash shop currency to go spend on cosmetics or other items on the auction house. I've seen some free-to-play games do it both ways, right? Where their auction house, you can just buy out the item for this much in-game gold or this much cash shop currency. But this was the first one I had personally ever seen in a PC MMORPG where the cash shop or the auction house was strictly cash shop currency. Jason and I had quite the laugh at that. Quite the laugh at it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm always willing to credit other sources when they find stuff, but I found this myself.
Did you really?
MMO Fallout, well, yeah, I found it on Reddit, technically, so some dude posted it on Reddit, but, I didn't get it from a site, but just for clearing that up.
No, the news that it was shutting down, I had seen before the official confirmation that Connor had reported that, hey, this stuff's missing. Their pages are missing.
Oh, I'd seen the stuff that it had been missing before, but
Yeah.
yeah, the official shut down.
Which that we didn't report on. That was
right.
That was
okay,
on
you're right. I
Fallout.
remember that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and I will give credit to like massively. Just wrote an article today. It was an editorial by someone who said, it was okay, but okay is not good enough anymore. Which is frankly the thing I've been saying for like 7 years or so.
I think that's what I inadvertently, not knowing you were going to bring this up, just said. There was nothing inherently wrong with it, but it's just wrong time now.
Yeah, you just can't just fling out a free-to-play or not even a buy-to-play game and just hope it does okay, and because it won't, unless it has some major hook. And like you said, when you're talking about how it's like a 2008 game that has Astells, that's what MMOs were for like 5 to 6 years after WoW's launch. It was just like WoW, but we'll toss on our one little thing.
Yeah.
That's all they were, basically, for the most part.
Or you could be Alad's Online and not toss in that one thing, just be like, wow. I mean,
but that's still going to be operating after this year. So.
That is true. That is true. And
Going.
they just had their expansion. I remember proofreading that article no more than a couple of months ago.
Well, the one thing might be that you're big in a certain region, which Alad's is probably bigger, closer to its home area of Russia, or whatever.
Yeah,
if you go for the
for
the worldwide launch, you have to appeal to people who are going to play World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy or whatever the heck they want. So.
No doubt. Go ahead, Q.
So Glory said that they heard the royal free-to-play version was by a crypto company who bought the game code. And the funny thing about it is I was just thinking as you guys were talking about that, maybe the entire point behind the auction cash auction house was literally that they've been looking at NFTs way too much.
Yeah, that is true. It was picked up by, what was it, Friends something. I don't remember. Friends something. And I remember just like, why are they doing this? Just make Astellia Online free to play. It's not like it's doing well outside of the United States. But speaking of maybe not doing well or doing well, we do have financials, Jason's favorite time of the quarter. He loves it. Let's first start with a look at NCSoft's second quarter of 2021, which remarkably seems a lot like 12 months ago.
Yeah, which is surprising a little bit when you realize that 12 months ago, that quarter was like the big pandemic bump quarter, it seemed.
Yeah.
And, since then, I put up the charts on there, and it kind of went back and forth over the next 3 quarters, but then it just kind of leveled back to about what we had here in a year ago, in Q2 2020. So, except for one change, except for Ion and Blade and Soul.
Yeah, there's a weird little swap here that I'm not quite sure, and I know what you attribute it to. If you look at Ion and Blade and Soul, they basically traded revenues from last year, and Ion surpassed Blade and Soul. For the first time in a very, 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 very long time, we should mention that it did so. Jason, you've got speculation on your thoughts.
Yeah, because Ion really perked up once they made the classic servers in Korea, which have been ported over now to our region. Whereas Blade and Soul just kind of piddling along and hoping that the UE4 thing is going to really revitalize that. So I think that's kind of what. You have one game going up because it's doing something, and the other one going down because it's not really doing anything. So hopefully, in NCSoft's view, Blade and Soul will rebound once it gets that UE4 update out.
And then Blade and Soul 2 comes out in 2 weeks in Korea.
So that'll get
in Korea.
Yeah, that'll get it. Well, they'll still get mentioned here, of course, because they care about Korea far more than anywhere else.
Oh, no doubt. no doubt.
So that'll probably add another bar to the whole list. So
Lineage is down, Q. Kind of been the one carrying the weight in NCSoft for quite some time now, and I think is this 2 consecutive that Lineage was down? I can't remember on the Q1 financials, but I seem to think that it was down a little bit on Q1.
a little bit. No, it's been up and down. Lineage 2 has been kind of steady, but 1 was the thing, just like the Q2 2020. It's here, bumps up, bump up, and then right back down in 21. So
it's weird, kind of seeing this. Like, you would think, Q, that like the COVID bump, right, kind of starts in Q2. I think Q3 financials for a lot of companies, whether it be NCSoft, Nexon, Square, Blizzard, any of the Activision, any of these companies, I think their Q3 financials are going to be very interesting, more so for me than the Q2 ones. Yeah, the COVID like bump might start in Q2, but I think it really, Q3 is the one where everybody has now basically been locked down for a few months and everybody is playing more video games. I think Q3 looking year over year is going to be pretty interesting in a few months.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I mean, and I think, I mean, if they broke it down, more by region, you might find it to be a little bit even stranger, because there are some places that are like, we're locked down, we're not locked down, we're locked down again, we're not locked down, like
right.
in and out, like the UK, they're in and out of lockdown all the time, right? And then other places that are just like, yeah, we're just staying that way for, forever or whatever. But if they broke it down that way, it'd probably be even more interesting. But I do think you're right, like, because they also, I think around that's when the game companies started going, wait a minute, and they started actually advertising
Yep.
that whole stay at home, play at home kind of, here's some free stuff to keep you at home so you're not out making other people sick, right? That kind of stuff. So that should probably have some impact on it by that point too.
Bitter rival to the end, Nexon also revealed their Q2. I just like pitting them down. Like, they don't fight each other, but I think it'd be cool if like there was an NCSoft robot and a Nexon robot and they duked it out.
Like the mecha battle that we had a couple of years back.
Yes.
That lasted that long.
Nexon's Q2 also released and was kind of around the same kind of performance as NCSoft. A little up here, a little down here, and basically on par on the games portion. Let's stick to the games portion because there is a little sidebar caveat to this one that we'll get to at the end. But to the games portion, Jason, it was, kind of the same deal here too.
Yeah, it was kind of a boring week for me for the financials. There's nothing really spectacular to report on, which we'll get to again in a moment.
Nothing spectacular. And by spectacular, Jason means a game doing really well or a wild star. One or the other.
Yeah, I mean, Nexon's got a lot in the pipeline, but they ain't really talking about. I mean, they're showing off a little bit. We saw that in the videos from the trailers last week, but in terms of actual definite here's what's going to happen now and so on and so forth, we're not hearing that sort of thing yet.
Not yet. Lots of trailers. If you missed last week's show, we did go through basically their whole reveal of a number, including Project Magnum and Kart Rider Drift and a bunch of other stuff. Go take a look at last week's free-to-play cast for that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it was, whatever. But there was a little not-so-rosy piece that if you were just looking at the game's revenue, you probably didn't notice, and Nexon certainly wasn't going out of its way to call attention to this. But, Jason, there was some not rosy news as far as financials for Nexon, too. What happened?
Yeah, you remember a few months ago they invested $100 million in Bitcoin.
Yeah, we talked about it on the show. That was kind of a nice boon for Bitcoin and cryptos in general.
Which Owen Mahoney, CEO, said was a, quote, a form of cash likely to retain its value, even if it's not yet widely recognized as such.
Okay, cool. So, they got $100 million stored away in the bank, basically, it was the goal there.
It's going to retain its value.
Yeah, it's going to retain its value. We'll have $100 million. If it increases, cool. If it doesn't, we got $100 million stowed away, right? So what could go wrong here?
No, you have $60 million.
Wait,
you have $60 million now.
Wait, what? Wait, why do I have $60 million? That's a lot of millions you just took away.
Well, tough. Deal with it.
What the hell happened?
Bitcoin happened. I don't know.
Dropped by 40%
Mm-hmm.
since the time they purchased it. That's that hurts, Q. That hurts.
Wonder if this has to do with China's crackdown on cryptocurrency.
Or the
Even there are even some states in the U.S. that are like supposedly having laws against selling gaming computers now because they think they're being used for crypto mining.
I mean, that's not the entire thing on that. It's and it's specific. Like basically the laws, and it started in 2016 and it just now kicked in. But basically, the laws that the computers have to meet certain environmental requirements for you to
power
be able to purchase
usage.
them. So it's a slightly different thing, but of course, it all kind of ties in.
Yep.
Together.
Yep. Although on this front, I do have to say this about Nexon. Jason just wrote a piece today about Nexon's CEO. And one of the things that we talked about on last week's show was we have no dates for any of these games. Like even Kart Rider Drift, which I legitimately played probably 3 years ago now at this point during some press test and then some beta test after that and stuff, that still isn't out, and we still don't have dates. And we thought that was a little weird. You know, maybe Project Magnum doesn't have a date yet. You just announced it. Fine. But how do we not have a date for Kart Rider? Well, apparently, Jason, it's actually on purpose.
Yeah, because during the investor meeting and the call and whatever, Owen Mahoney talked about, their strategy in terms of, having deadlines and having at least publicly stated deadlines and having, very strict things that their employees would have to adhere to if they were publicly stated. If they say it's going to be a Q3 release, now what happens? Well, with a lot of companies, they make it happen somehow or another, which is often crunch or a bad game or both. And he said that crunch mode is one of the most pernicious problems in our industry, saying that the charade of launch timing serves little purpose except this dance with equity analysts. Instead, the right thing to focus and push for is a game that blows people's minds. If we achieve that, the game will last many years and the revenues will dwarf what we would have made by launching a quarter or two earlier. So rather than giving you a date, this team is going to give our customers and employees a commitment to make the best game we can as soon as we can.
So just like Mad Martha in chat says, when it's ready.
Yeah.
When it's ready.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I said that earlier.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you did. But
to me, it's especially cool or whatever for a CEO speaking directly to like the shareholders and the media and whatever to say that sort of thing.
That's the thing that makes it a little more probably real, to me, that he wasn't sitting talking to IGN and giving them this line. He was literally talking to, as you phrase it, the other suits.
Yeah, his bosses, as the CEO, his bosses.
And
basically
saying, hey, you know what? I know you want us to give dates so that you can play the market, but no, we're done. We're done giving dates. When it's ready, we'll put it out. That'll help a better project, a better title being released, and our employees won't have to go through stupid crunch periods just to meet an arbitrary date that you wanted as executive shareholders. Q, I think it's good all the way around on that front.
He also basically told them long form that by waiting and actually putting out a good game, they're going to make more money off it than they would if they launched.
Well, he's got to throw that pitch in, right?
Right.
Otherwise,
he's not necessarily wrong. If you make a good game that people want to continue to play and stay in, instead of something that you just rush out and then it dies a couple of months later because it was complete shit, you're going to make money up.
What's the old Miyamoto? What's the old Miyamoto quote? A delayed game can still be good, but a bad game is always bad.
I actually researched that this week when somebody quoted it to me. He never actually said that.
Seriously, who said it?
Yeah, seriously, nobody. It's just something that was attributed. He said something kind of similar-ish, but anyway.
Yeah, that happens. Still true. A delayed game can be good.
Well, except
Cyberpunk.
A bad game isn't forever bad because we have patches now. So
that's true too. Do you guys like getting release dates? Like, by the way, like personally, when you're looking forward to a game, do you like knowing when it's going to come out? A year and a half in advance? Because I'm one of those guys that's like, I would rather, like, the first I'm seeing of a game that I'm interested in, I would like to know that it's going to be out in the next 2 months. Like, if it's any more than that, don't give me release dates right now. Just, if you want to show me a trailer, show me a trailer. I like the way Fallout 4 launched, right? Where they revealed it and they were like, "Oh yeah, basically it's going to be on shelves in a few weeks."
And
like,
that's
I
like
like that.
1% of that's 1% of game. I don't mind them saying that we're having a game. Like if you're going to announce something at E3 and show it off and say we'll have this ready maybe next year or whatever, fine, that's fine. I don't mind that. But
Yeah, agree.
but
I'm
I
talking
agree.
about
Don't
like
ever give,
actual dates.
no, not actual dates. Starfield, January, or not Starfield, but Elden Ring. That's the one that I'm always.
Yeah, in January.
That's the one that I'm still calling bullshit on. But anyway.
Most of chat kind of agreeing with me. Prefer to hear dates in like 2 to 3 months. Can't stand when a game is announced years in advance. I don't want to see a gamer trailer for it unless I can go to a store, buy it the same day. Good luck. I prefer to hear dates with realistic targets, like you say, 2 to 3 months. Yeah, I think that's where Q, is that kind of where you sit too?
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the days, when Tryon was actually good.
When we didn't get dates at all.
Well, no, I mean, no, not just that, but
because your
when
Nintendo Power was late and the game was already out.
Honestly, when I was buying games, I was going to the drugstore and ordering them through a magazine. So
Damn, talk about
in a
rural.
I lived in a really small town.
Yeah,
like you could walk the entire town, no problem. But anyway, yeah, I would walk in and look at the magazine and order the games that I wanted. It was either that or drive 2 hours to get to a Walmart.
Then she was like, and by the way, I have a little left over, so I'll take these X-ray specs. Go ahead, send me those too.
Well, I mean, a catalog, right? They just had a video game catalog in our drugstore. Anyway, no, when Rift launched, right? Like nobody knew about it until like maybe 6 months before. And then when it came out, it was actually good up until it wasn't good anymore.
Thanks for making me feel like crap because we were covering that game like a year and a half before it came out in the magazine I was working on. But sure, yeah, nobody knew about it.
Well, I wasn't reading magazines by that point.
You went to
What's
the wrong
a
drugstore then.
magazine?
It was 2010. They still had that back then.
Magazine.
I was not buying magazines.
Is that like a play online strategy guide?
Look
Anyway.
everything on our website. Anyway.
So Q brought up China a little earlier when it came to cryptocurrency, but we talked last week about China saying, hey, video games are basically opium, deal with it. And that's obviously caused stock dips. We talked about Tencent and stuff like that last week. But if you remember, Krafton, the company behind Terra and stuff like that, they were going to go into an initial public offering. And we had reported on, they were speculating dates. They didn't have an exact thing. And they were speculating on the amount of the initial public offering. In January, that amount was estimated to be $27.2 billion. Other firms pegged it at about 18 billion USD after that. Well, it did actually happen. They did have their initial public offering. And it raised a total of, wait for it, $3.8 billion. Now, obviously, still a lot of money. $3.8 billion is a lot of cash, but it is not as much cash, you may have noticed, as $18 billion or $27.2 billion is. In fact, that is a pretty substantial difference. And most analysts, Jason, are kind of attributing this to a few different things. But the one that seems to show up on everybody's list is China kind of cracking down on video gaming again.
Yeah, talk about just awful timing. They're planning this thing for months and months and months, and then finally triggers like a week after China makes its noise about wanting to crack down more on video games. So, yeah, multiple analysts saying you have an extremely expensive stock running into bad news that China may crack down on gaming. Another guy talked about the regulatory issues in China as being a major issue. So, yeah, that's one of the major points that they're talking about.
That hurts, Q. That hurts. And it seems like it seems like analysts are saying they also put too many shares on the market, which, okay, that's a self-inflicted wound. Mm-hmm. If you put too many shares in your initial public offering, fine, a little bit self-inflicted. But they were kind of looking at, hey, man, we're going to get $15 to $30 billion in this, and they got a tenth of that. A tenth of the high-end estimates.
Yeah, they had to be making like sad trombone noises.
Oh, you mean this one?
That one, yeah.
We'll give it to them.
But there are just some things that you can't always predict, and this is the fallout. Although, I don't know, at the same time, there's lots of people that really seem to be able to predict that kind of stuff happening, so...
Jason, like, when China makes that announcement and you see Tencent fall and you see what NetEase fall, like, do you think, hey, maybe we delay our IPO right now? Like, I'm wondering if there was some, like, regulatory reason why they couldn't, because it seems like a no-brainer when you see Tencent take an 8 to a 10% hit on that type of announcement from China's government, that you might go, China's a huge portion of our portfolio. Right. We probably want to delay this. Like, I can only imagine it must have been regulatory, because anybody with a brain, I would think, would have delayed the IPO again.
And indeed, and they also mentioned that about 68.1% of the company's revenue last year came from a single publisher, which people believe is probably Tencent, even though it wasn't specifically named. So that's the direct link there. But then I also just wonder, like, it was literally like 4 days difference. So you just wonder if they can. It's like, if you have a big concert planned or some other huge event or the Super Bowl or whatever, you don't just cancel it 4 days before it's going to happen without major issues. So I think they just had to plow ahead and hope for the best, and they didn't get the best.
Mad Martha in chat saying, once heard a business lecture where they said that no company wants to go public. They do it because they can't raise the cash themselves.
Probably.
They didn't raise a lot, at least anywhere near what they were hoping for. So we'll have to watch to see if that impacts projects going forward that, might have been slated, Q, and are, being worked on now, if funding that they believed strongly was going to be there in some type of source didn't come through to the extent that they thought it was. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on some of those things.
And doesn't this just basically lock in PUBG going free to play? Like
I think so.
Just raise it, whatever rating you gave it a couple weeks ago, you're raising it by like a point or two now on your 1 to 10 scale.
Yeah, Q, what do you think? I think it has to.
I mean, I've been thinking it'd go free to play at some point anyway. They just keep not doing it.
Their free weekend thing is over, right?
Free week or whatever weekend.
Yeah, whatever it was, a weekend or week or whatever. The test that they ran a year ago to see if they should go free to play, and the users were like, don't, and they ran it again. I think it's over now. We'll see. I think it totally makes sense.
Check what their bump was. It didn't really go up much over the past week.
No, it really didn't. Sticking with numbers here just for a moment, PSO2 New Genesis is doing pretty good. Doing pretty good for Sega, as the Phantasy Star Online 2 series as a whole reaches 9 million registered 9 million registered users.
That's 1 million users for every year.
Every year. All titles released in the last quarter totaled 12.4 billion yen in revenue, about $122 million US. PSO2 New Genesis led the way, helping the Phantasy Star franchise achieve its highest monthly active user count ever, and helping the PSO2 franchise break the 1 billion yen mark overall. However,
100 billion yen.
100 billion yen. New Genesis wasn't even Sega's #1 title for the quarter, though. That went to Project Sekai Colorful Stage featuring Hatsune Miku, a rhythm game with virtual singers.
I'm going to have to wait 9 years for that to come over. Jeez.
Right, because it's only available in Japan, so we'll get it in 8 to 9 years from now. I still have my Phantasy Star Online 2 questions out to be interviewed for an interview there, including questions about the Western release and timing, and was it maybe the best, the way they did things there. The only thing I want to say about this is it is that whole registered users number, which is just, Jason, you and I were debating it when you were writing the article. It is a sketchy number to begin with, and now you're talking about a game where I'm probably counted in there at least twice, right? Because I have a Japanese account for all those years that it wasn't available here, and I have a Western account. Maybe there's some double dipping between PSO2 New Genesis and PSO2. I don't think so, since they're both the same client, and that is one account to access both games. But there's definitely double dipping in that number queue for people like me that have a Japanese registered account and a Western registered account, because you waited 8 years to release it here. So grain of salt all over the number.
Well, although, I mean, there's obviously more people playing in the West now than there are Westerners that had a Japanese account.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So
they break it down.
Double,
yeah, 6 point, yeah.
the double dipping is probably, minuscule. But yeah,
I
I'm
wouldn't
sure
say
you count
minuscule. Like, I would
twice.
say instead of 9 million, it's probably between 6 and 7-ish. I wouldn't say it's minuscule. I'd say it's probably double dip to the tune of about 1 to 1.5 million.
Okay. Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
you think it's smaller than that?
I mean, I have no idea. I'm just saying.
No, just blind guess.
Like you're the only
Q
person
hates making any sort of prediction or estimate.
Well, you're literally the only person I know that has in the West that has a Japanese account. I know there are other people
maybe
do,
I'm
obviously.
overestimating it because of that. Then,
yeah. But you're so if I go just based off of the amount of players that I know that have played PSO2 versus you,
True.
like it does seem like a much smaller number, but that's not saying you're not right, and it's just a different group of people that I don't know. That there's like a whole bunch of them running around that
Mike is the king of the weebs.
I'm the king of this like gang running around. We played on the Japanese servers. It's what we do Saturdays and Sundays. You guys just don't know about it. I do have a question. One last question before we, and this is kind of financial related, but not really. Before we head over to the weekly bombs. Hey, Jason, did Google try to buy Epic Games, or did they not try to buy Epic Games, or did they try to buy Epic Games without Tim Sweeney knowing about it, or did they like what the hell? Did they do this or not? Because some headlines stated it as fact.
So speaking of the magazine that I used to work for, when it was folding up.
The pages or the company?
The magazine.
Got him!
When it was folding, me and the sales guy who used to work on it together, he mentioned to me, like, he had talked to like our publisher and said, they said we could probably like buy it. We could just buy the magazine from them, get the rights and everything. And he just quoted the number and whatever. I was like, yeah, probably not. I don't think that a magazine is that, I don't think it's going to be that worthwhile. This is even 2011. So even back then, I don't think so. So, if you were to write an article now, you would say that we tried to buy the magazine.
Obviously.
Yeah, because we discussed it once for like 10 seconds.
Because you had a conversation over some mac and cheese in the employee cafeteria.
No, well, we talked on the phone. He's in Michigan. I was in like Texas, so whatever. But yeah, that is to me what I think this is. I think someone mentioned it. Yeah, and this is the result of the lawsuit they had, because not only Apple, but Epic and Google are also in a lawsuit. And I think at one point someone in a Google boardroom said, "Why don't we just buy Epic?" And someone else was like, "Yeah, we could." And someone else was like, "Yeah, it'll cost too much." And I'm like, "Okay, forget it then." But someone else in that boardroom remembered that little 5-second conversation, and that's what this is.
And took it into court filings.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think the extent of this is.
And that kind of makes sense, because Tim Sweeney was like, "This is news to me," and I'm like, "Well, I believe Q that he would be one of the first people that would know that this type of discussion were taking place if it was anything more than." This whole lawsuit would go away if we just owned them. You're right. No, it's too much money. Forget it.
It is funny though to be, Google and just be able to be like, well, we could just buy the company.
Right.
Like,
we're being sued by Jason Winter Inc.
Cash.
It reminds me there was
grab petty cash.
In one of the recent Batman movies. Like Bruce Wayne is like getting roaring drunk in a hotel lobby, and someone from the hotel says, "Sir, we're gonna have to ask you to leave." And he's like, "Yeah, whatever." He pulls out a checkbook and says, "I just bought the hotel. I'm staying here."
Jason Winter Inc. is suing us. Is it going to be easier to buy Jason Winter Inc. or cheaper
it's easy
than
to buy.
go to court?
It's easy to buy me. Believe me. Trust me.
You're for sale. Let's go do the weekly bombs.
3.8 billion. That's how much I want.
So Google buys you for $3.8 billion, then you go buy Krafton. And dude, Jason Winter would own Terra. Like, what a headline that would be for anybody that knows Jason Winter in any way, shape, or form. Be like, Jason Winter now owns Terra. Of all the MMO RPGs he fluked into owning, it was Terra. Not exactly a game he's ever held in the highest regards. All right, I'm going to go first. I'm going to give an A-bomb to Rocket League's Season 4 theme and some other things. Season 4 started Wednesday, so yeah, I get to do the whole play 10 matches to get ranked and all that stuff, and that stuff's great. And Season Pass, and fine. I love the game, and that hasn't changed. Whatever. The theme, I think, it just sucks. It's boring. It's like this Wild West theme. Everything's a frickin' desert, and everything's wearing cowboy hats and stuff like that. It's just really dumb. And I thought the Season 3 NASCAR theme was really bad because I'm not a huge NASCAR guy. I want the NASCAR one back. Like, give me the NASCAR stuff because this is just drab and boring. But they've also made other changes that absolutely just infuriate me. And I'm not even like pro Rocket League dude, right? Casual was given the ability to vote to forfeit, which I think is good. I think it's good that was added. That's cool. You know, you could just vote to forfeit the match. But coming with that, if you're in a casual match, you can no longer just bail on the match. I mean, you can. There's nothing stopping you. But the penalties that were in competitive are now in casual, too. Your first bail of the day, no penalty. If you bail from a casual match a second time in that day, you get the 5-minute first penalty that you can't queue up for anything that you also already got in competitive. That, I think, is just stupid. Yeah, I know it sucks when you queue up for a casual match and you get thrown into a match in progress just as 2 other people bailed on the match, and so now it's you and 2 bots until some other people join. But who the frick cares? It's casual. Just leave. Just leave. I like that vote to forfeit was there instead of just everybody individually leaving. That's a nice addition, but the penalties coming with it for leaving casual matches, that's just stupid. That is just stupid. That needs to be reverted. And also another little thing, I hate this. There used to be a player count in Season 3, all the way through so far, of each queue. So if you went to Snow Day, you could see that there were 5,000 people in that playlist. Or if you went to Casual 3s, you could see that there were 240,000 people in that playlist. In the additions that they made for Season 4, Jason, they have changed that. You can no longer see the numbers. It just gives you a status.
Oh, of course.
It just says great, good, whatever. So dumb. A-bomb all the way around Season 4. I mean, I like the challenges and obviously playing the game, but just the Season 4 and the tournament stuff is great. They added 2s. That's fantastic. But then, hey, don't you dare abandon a casual match. Don't you do it. You stay and you get trounced in your casual playlist. Jason, what do you got?
So you don't like Cowboys and you don't like Vikings. What genre?
It's not that I don't like Cowboys. It's just that this thing, because it's played in the arena and stuff. Everything's brown. It's just everything's a freaking shade of brown. That's it. There's sand. There's lighter color sand. There's wooden fencing. Yay! Oh look, he's wearing a brown cowboy hat on his outlaw car. Everything looks like crap.
Which is weird because yes, there is a lot of sand and stuff in the desert. But there's other colors there, too. Lots of other colors. There's plenty of colors in the desert. Like the plants, the mountains. Mountains are like purple often in the desert. So I'm not sure why everything needs to be brown.
Looks like Tatooine. It's boring.
I like brown and boring. Screw you.
By Tara. What do you got, Jason?
I'm going to give an A-bomb to the Lord of the Rings Online.
Oh!
Because...
Oh, this is like, hold on. Should I play some sad music? Is this a breakup?
No, it's not that. It's a breakup. I broke up with them like 8 years ago.
No, you guys were just on break. You hadn't like officially separated.
I haven't actually played. I bought this new computer in late 2018. I haven't installed it on here yet. So, I mean, come on.
All right, so it was a serious break. You saw other people, you saw other games, but, I always believed in your heart there was love and you'd come back.
No, screw you. There's no love in my heart. You don't know me. But no, I'm going to give an A-bomb about there. They just recently talked about on the forums. They said, "Oh, we're thinking about changing up our monetization. Maybe we're going to have discussions and hopefully get it done. Maybe in next year or whatever."
Yeah,
they're hopeful about a lot of things. the eternal state of Lotro is we want to do this thing, and we're going to tell you that we're going to totally do this thing. 3 years later, we still want to do it. It's still high on our priorities. You go with a legendary item revamp. Just a couple months ago, their producer said, commenting lag is our number one priority. Like 8-9 years ago, there was lag in the game. It is not your number one priority. It is like your number 83 priority.
Well, I mean, that one became their number one priority only because they couldn't keep the servers up, remember?
Well, that was last year.
Yeah.
That was an issue from them. But they've had issues with that for years. So I don't believe in anything they say they're going to do or some long-standing issue that they think they want to change until they actually do it, which I don't know if they ever will. So, yeah, hearing you're having plans or discussions about it, go away.
What do you got, Q?
Yeah.
Before I do mine, Jason, did you hear that they're moving the Lord of the Rings filming from New Zealand to the UK?
I thought you said the opposite of that.
No.
Nope, they're moving it from New Zealand to the UK. I suspect probably Scotland because that's where Amazon's filming its other two fantasy things. So I suspect that's where it's going to land. I am going to give an A-bomb to time because I have not enough of it, especially since Genshin Impact keeps giving me things to do when I'm trying to get Final Fantasy stuff done, and it's really kind of starting to annoy me.
Guardian Vale in chat says, "Da bomb to rhinos." If you need context, there's a clip on the Twitch page of Troy being very happy in Bless Unleashed. I know that sentence might not make sense, but go watch the clip. From viewers, Rickshaw says, "Nice job, guys. Can understand Troy's expression about a certain company. I'm the same on Steam, just do not see the point. I have to live with it just to experience my lifestyle of game playing. I think no matter how much you are against something, only in the gaming world, you need to experience it in order to form a better opinion. That's it. My rant, Steam sucks. Those games suck, and Bless should have known it's not blessed as it's held within its own little curse. So with that, it should have been axed way before it was born to have been thought of, left in the mines, thought to bug that person forever. A kart race is just a kart race. This does say something about the dev team's slothness. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they're just like being ultra coy with kart race. Go ahead, Jason.
Razy0101 says, "I was wondering why Troy was back, but it's a Bless episode, and as a diehard fan of Bless, of course he had to be there."
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Q.
Guardian Vale, the bomb to the crowning of the champ segment. That was hilarious.
Yes, we had our on-field reporter. Jason, it is nice to see that you are safe and sound from the polls. To call 2399 says, "Da bomb to the Locks for their absolute dismantling of Dipset. It's a rap thing Wilfredo might understand. I ain't seen an execution like that since Sonny in The Godfather." To call. I appreciate you assuming I might need help pronouncing locks and supplying that, but what makes you think I don't know about it? I like rap. I like hip-hop. It was an execution. We'll bring Wilfredo on to talk about it. Go ahead, Jason.
Guestly says, "As promised, I jumped on the Aiden server." I was talking about the Lineage 2 Aiden, which I just did a little preview of a couple days ago.
Yeah, this is shortened, by the way. Guestly left a whole longer piece in my email on this one, so I kind of shortened it just to get the key points.
Okay. From the very start, I'm going to say it's a big disappointment. It's advertised as fast leveling. Their homepage shows informative slides moving back and forth. You reach level 40 in about 20 to 30 minutes. After that, pretty much as you might remember when you tried the game, quests ask hundreds of mob kills, which they offer in-game auto hunt, aka bot, and XP bar moves slow like you are playing on classic grind server. You can get 89 levels on live server, which is advertised twice as much slower than Aiden server. And if you advertise a game to be solo friendly and fast leveling, that's pretty much not true. Maybe if you monthly inject that into that game, about $50 to $100, it could be what they advertise, but the free-to-play version of the server is polished turd with some sprinkles on top with false advertising sign. What I expected from a publisher devs who sell up to 10 VIP levels in classic server, which gives more advantage, pay to win, the more you pay. No, what I expected from literal boosted character stats. I have lost all hopes and respect toward official Lineage 2 game. And the sad part is that there are a lot of people who spend their money in defense of greedy monetization practices. Live report from Auto Hunting Grounds, Guestly.
So now we have another in-the-field reporter down in the trenches of Lineage.
Yeah, more trench than I was.
Not gaming related from Metallica fan, but an A-bomb to Games Workshop shutting down fan productions if they don't agree to be part of Warhammer Plus subscription streaming service. And Kinetic Fetus saying, "A-bomb to me. downloaded Bless for shits and giggles during Troy's stream. I've played for over 7.5 hours. That's not that bad. I have more than 7.5 hours in the game.
And Terra Nova's follow-up was, had you been drinking?
No.
Nope.
Question of the week last week. What do you think the future of Rift is? We kind of want to speculate on it a little bit, given that the 7-day patron pass was deleted. Kevin Sharp says, question of the week. I do not feel that Rift is very long for this world. The last time I made a comment is when you guys were doing the predictions for the New Year stream, and I had correctly said that once Gamigo took over, all the Defiant properties would be shuttered within a year of that action. The fact that you take away a 7-day trial tells me that not enough people were biting on that to hang around as a patron status, and there's no significant new revenue or player base generated from that. Now, it's most likely a back-to-the-drawing-board meeting in-house at Gamigo, and I would not be shocked to see it enter some form of a maintenance mode with an actual closure prior to the end of 2022. Not the most optimistic outlook, Mr. Winter.
Yeah. Bach says, I'm shocked Rift is even still a thing all these years later. We all kind of are, to be honest. Admittedly, I went back a few months ago and did weekly drift sessions as per Mike and Q talked about on a past episode.
Drifting, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Took me only a few Saturdays, you all trashed, mind you, and realized the game was just a hollow shadow of its old glory. Old glory?
Old glory?
What? Huh? Not even booze and friends can make it fun. The same thing is said about Old Glory. Anyway,
Got him!
And that's saying something. Still, if Gamigo does end up taking it down, it'll be closer to putting a lame old animal rather than a thriving, healthy one.
Jeez. Go ahead, Q.
Harsh. RS Jabber, it's getting shut down. What a shame, because I remember when the free-to-play model right after the transition was pretty fair and got me into spending some money in their store. I mean, I think it did that to everybody originally.
Yeah, I mean, I remember us covering on Game Breaker the free-to-play conversion, just being like, this is how this is done. This is absolutely how it's... And then 6 months later, oh. Missed the live show again. You knew it was coming to call. I just called you out, man, for thinking I wouldn't know anything about Locks and Dipset. But I still love you.
We are the lazy game review rabbit hole.
Yami Kami, question of the week. Wait, what? Someone left the servers on? I told him to shut it down years ago. Quickly, where's my red button of server doom? In my opinion, that game is dead. There won't be any Rift Unleashed this time. Also, I want to make a little throwback to last week's question of the week after watching a video of Alana Pierce on the situation. Of course, we gamers have a voice, and voting with our wallets is the only good way of expressing that voice. It is really hypocritical to say, I don't like how you treat your workers, but I buy your products anyway. However, on the other side, ActiBlizz's higher management staff is so rich at this point, they have no reason to care. It won't hurt them. But those at the bottom lose bonuses or even their jobs if the games they put so much time and effort into while being harassed by drunk management idiots. And now those people might suffer a second blow for things they were the victims of in the first place. My conclusion is that there are no winners in this boycott. Everyone loses. Though I hope Blizzard will unionize and that things will actually improve for Blizzard's staff and for the industry as a whole. Side note to that, I'm from Germany. Unions are in much higher regard here. Our rights and privileges were not given to us. They were fought for by unions. I only see benefits with unionization. And that is, to a large extent, the same as unions obtaining many rights here in the United States. Why you have a 40-hour work week, why you can't work as an 8-year-old. And, those are all things that came from unions here as well. So good take on that. Good take on that. It is a hard thing, and I said the same thing when we talked about it. It's weird. You don't want to not send money that is eventually going to pay the salary of friends or employees there, but you also don't want to give money to a company. Yeah, it's an odd spot to be in.
The only point I'll disagree with him on is saying ActiBliz higher management is so rich at this point they have no reason to care. No, when you're rich, you want to be more rich.
Yeah.
It's like a sickness.
Yeah, it's not enough to have a lot of money. Yeah, it's not enough to have a lot of money. You need to have all of it. Question of the week this week. Next Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, it's the 400th episode of the Free to Play Cast. I never thought I'd be saying that phrase. What's your favorite free-to-play cast moment? Do you have one? Go ahead and throw it in the comments below, and we'll reminisce next week. We'll also talk about some of ours next week with some special guests. And if you've got a specific question for a specific host that you've always wanted to ask, throw that down there as well. Probably not going to be a lot of news on next week's show. We'll just be having a good time hanging out for the 400th episode, and we hope you'll join us live. Until then, Q, where can everybody find you?
On Twitter, Quinlan.
Jason.
On Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming at twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there at magicman1, but more importantly, follow at MMOBomb so we can tweet at you with all the latest news, articles, giveaways, first look videos, and so much more on the website. Come stop by and say hi. Until next time, gang, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.